All right, ladies, bring it on in. And I know some of you dudes, y'all gonna be here too, so it's okay, y'all can stay. But we really need to have an in-house discussion on this alleged war on weight on black women, or should I say the war on black women's weight. And so I wanted to talk about this. Shout out to Carmen JC. I saw her cover this, and she's a young black conservative female that I actually met down in Tampa. We didn't officially like talk much, but I saw her in passing. And when I saw her video show up in my recommends, I said, well, now this is an interesting topic, and she sure is brave. So I actually want to talk about it. So in this video, I have no notes. I'm just going to shoot straight from the hip. We're going to talk about, is there a war on black women's weight? Are the gripes and the grievances that are allegedly coming from men, black men, is it legitimate? Is there really something going on with black women and our big backs? Or, should this be something that we should ignore because they just doing something to just tear black women down? I want to talk about it. So it's coming up next on Unshakable with April Chapman. Grace and peace, you guys. Welcome back to Unshakable with April Chapman, where we discuss all things social, cultural, political, and theological from a biblical perspective. Now, this video is a little bit outside of my comfort zone because it is on a cultural or a social topic. However, it is speaking specifically to a very sensitive topic. And I want to be sensitive in how I talk about this. But y'all know me. Sometimes the only way to really deal with something, particularly something that needs to be said, is you kind of got to say it. And my goal, hear me clearly, my goal is not to hurt anyone's feelings. I'm actually going to be speaking a lot from experience, going to give you a personal story to kind of root my position and why I feel the way I do about this. But I really want to talk about, is there a war on black women's weight? And I would say yes. There is a war, but the question is why? Why is there a war on black women's weight? Now, statistically, I told y'all, this is not scripted. I don't have any notes in front of me about the statistics of our weight in comparison to other people groups, but just from observable reality, sisters, we absolutely do have a weight problem. You may not want to hear that, and you might say, well, April, there are reasons for this, our thyroid and our big bones. And listen, I have heard it all. The truth of the matter is we need to talk about this because some people are saying, well, this is not about, health. And I wish the conversation was about health. This is y'all just want us to be thin. Well, I'm going to just break it down real anecdotal for you. And I'm gonna start with a little story. So I met my now husband when I was 25 years old. And typically when you're in your 20s, you hot and young, you're in the best shape of your life. You ain't got no body fat, or at least, well, back in the early 2000s when I was 25, obesity was a thing, but it is nowhere near the way it is now, where everybody just has a big back. When I was 25 years old, I was a size 6, and obviously I was able to attract and keep my husband because a lot of what he was attracted to was visual. Okay, that was the first thing. It's the visual optics of it all. If you cute, you fine, you slim and petite, it ain't too many men that's not gonna do a double take and show their interest. So when I met him, I'm 25 years old. I have no children. I'm single, no kids. I work a job, but there really was no reason for me to be fat and overweight. And so I wasn't a gym rat. But genetically, the women in my family, historically, I can't necessarily speak for right now, but historically, we're just very small women. My mother is 5 feet tall. My great grandmother was 4'11". And my grandmother was probably hovering right around 5 feet too. And we all are just, my sister, before she popped out like 8 kids, we're just naturally little people. And nobody's tall in our family. We're just very petite women. But I distinctly remember on the first date, with my husband. We were at a sports bar, nowhere fancy, something you young girls don't know nothing about. Y'all be wanting 5-star treatment, and he need to take you to the expensive steakhouse. We was at the sports bar, okay, and I was happy and I was grateful and I had a good time. But he looked at what I ordered and he examined. Okay, he examined how I was engaging with the plate. He saw that it was, at this point, we met at the sports bar and we had drinks, but now that the hour is getting late, it is well after 9 o'clock. My food comes and I order some wings and like a really large plate of French fries. And for me, it wasn't the wings, which is protein, that was the star of the show. It was them fries. And I will never forget, he looked at how I was engaging with the food and he made this statement. He said, "Ooh," he's like, you can have some food, can't you?" And I'm eating the fries, I'm enjoying them. Like these fries were good, lots of seasoning salt on them. And I'm not into health and wellness at this point in my life. I'm 25 years old. I've never had to be concerned or watch what I eat and why or what time. I didn't really know how to take what he said. He was like, "Oh, you can have some food." So I'm joking. I'm like, "Yeah, these fries are good." And he just made a mental note of that. And as time progressed, he would notice that when we would go out, there was no restraint as it relates to the food I would eat and the volume of food I would eat. And he would tell me, "You're 25 now and you're taking for granted that you can eat whatever you want and not really deal with the physical repercussions of the food that you're consuming." But he was like, that is not always going to be the case. And he kind of said that in passing. And once again, I'm not really picking up what he's putting down. But I am going to tell you, when I started picking up what he was putting down is when one day we were having a discussion and we were kind of talking about us as a couple and the relationship and the direction the relationship was going. And somehow we got on this topic of why he wasn't married. And he said, "Well, I've, been in a position, there were girls or women or young ladies who were eligible and marriage material." But he said, "Well, the last one that I was going to marry," he said, "I broke up with her because she gained weight and got fat." And then he was just quiet. And I was like, "You broke up with somebody because of their weight?" Like, I'm flabbergasted. I can't even wrap my mind around the idea of leaving a person, breaking up a whole relationship over some weight. And he looked at me with the most stern, serious face. He was like, "Oh, absolutely." Like, you know what I'm saying? And so I'm pressing him more, and he made it very, very clear. He said, "Let me be very clear." He was like, I don't do big broads." And he said, "Anybody that I'm going to be married to, once you get past a certain weight threshold, mentally I check out. I can't be there anymore in my mind." Because he was like, "Listen, I don't know how many dudes you've dated before, but we are visual beings. And if you can control something and you don't, it says a lot about not just about how you feel about yourself, but the lack of respect for the relationship, especially if I met you this way. And yes, I understand people have children, they go through health challenges, but when you make no effort to kind of maintain that same little ecosystem." He was like, I don't understand why women don't understand this." He was like, "Other ethnicities don't have this problem. Other ethnicities, the women understand the assignment and they know if they're going to be with this man, that weight and keeping it and maintaining it within a healthy range is standard protocol." He said, "It's only Black women that just don't give a darn, and y'all are just expect us to rise to the occasion and stick around no matter what, regardless of whether we're still attracted to y'all or not." And listen, ladies, I'm not gonna front. When I heard this was a struggle for me, because in my mind, we're supposed to be together no matter what, thick or thin, rich or poor, young and old, we just supposed to be together. And he said, well, no, we can do young and old. I can do rich and poor. And he said, but the weight, that is something that you have direct control over. And if I'm telling you that I am not attracted to overweight women, why would you not make an effort to make sure that that doesn't happen? And then he said something I'll never forget. He was like, he made it personal, right? He said, if we are going to be together, if you get fat, just know that is going to be a problem for me. And I know a lot of you ladies, ain't no way I be with some dude, who told me if I get fat, he just gonna leave. He was like, listen, when we're married now, I'm not saying I'm gonna divorce you, but it's gonna be a problem. Here's the truth. Most men are that way. Have a girlfriend whose husband, when he started noticing that she started picking up way too much weight that was over his weight threshold, they didn't have a conversation about it. You know what he did? He pulled right up to the gym and was like, we here. She knew what that meant. Why? Because she knows her husband is like, if it gets to the point where it's a problem, you already know what to do. In the same vein, I already knew one of the standards and requirements of being in the marriage with the person that I said I do to was being fat was not an option. It just couldn't. Now, I have borne this man 4 children, 1, 2, 3, 4. And the last 2 was a set of twins. I get it, ladies. So I'm not coming here as this person who's never either had a struggle with her weight, has never had any children, has never gone through hormonal imbalances and challenges that cause weight to just be a problem. I have been there, okay? I have a set of twins. Ladies, y'all ain't gonna like this, but at the end of the day, this is, and I'm gonna make it biblical, this is a self-control issue. Many of us do not want to have the conversation that we have an improper and unhealthy relationship with food because we are using food for comfort as opposed to nourishment. And we make all kinds of excuses about our weight, and we say, well, I'm chubby because I got a thyroid problem, or I'm chubby because my metabolism is jacked up, or I'm chubby because all the women in my family are big and we all just got big bones. Listen, 2 of those 3 things may be true, but at what point are we going to have the inner conversation with ourselves and say, you know what? I've not prioritized nourishing myself over comforting myself. And I look to food to provide the comfort and to fill the gaps of other areas of misery in my life. And then as a result, it has negatively impacted my weight to where I am carrying way more weight than I should. Hear me clearly. I've not arrived. I am still struggling with my weight in the sense that I can't eat the wings and the fries and the way that I used to eat, like I used to eat on that date when I was 25 years old. I just can't do it. I couldn't even use, well, I bore 4 kids for you, so you need to understand why I'm fat. No. He did not sign up for chubby April. He signed up for the April that looked the way that she looked. I'm just a little older now. So that means I needed to respect the relationship enough to prioritize what is going on with me that I'm picking up this weight. And here's the truth. You know what, y'all? Bring it in. I did not want to admit that I like food. Your girl can hide some food. The man called it out on the first date. He was like, you really can hide some food. I can really hide some food. But I also know that food can be a panacea or a band-aid for other issues that we don't want to talk about and we don't want to address. Number two, we just need to go and be real. Some of us are just lazy. Y'all, we lazy. We don't want to work out. We think that's what white women do. We think I'm thick, and so therefore it's all good. But it's not about the visual optics of it all. When our hearts are having to work harder to keep us alive. We're dealing with sleep apnea. We're busting out of our clothes and we just keep getting a bigger size, as opposed to just acknowledging that we're making wrong choices. And because it's hard, we don't need to try. I am middle-aged now. It bothers me greatly that I can't just eat what I want to eat at the time that I want to eat it and not have to deal with the consequences. Like, the consequences catch up to me. But at the same time, I also know what I signed up for. I married a man who places an emphasis on the fact that if what he sees is displeasing to him, it's going to cause some problems. So it's been drilled into my mind that I can only get but so big. Once you start hovering past a 10, that's going to be a problem for Robert Chapman. But you know what else? Once I start hovering around a size 10, it ain't just a problem for him. It's a problem for me too. I don't like how I look at a size 10. To be fair, I feel some sort of kind of way that some of y'all watching, when y'all saw me getting chubbed out, didn't nobody say nothing. And you want to know why? And here's the truth. Here it goes. Some of y'all women, y'all are not interested in us being the best version of ourselves. If one of us get fat, you feel like, well, now you have an ally and we can be fat together. And that is messed up. Because if you love someone and that's supposed to be your girl and that's your friend, if you see her weight climbing, you're supposed to be like, nah, sis, you know I love you, but you done picked up about 10 pounds in the past 6 months. What's going on? You say something. You don't just let us sit there and get all chubbed out and swollen, especially if you know she got a man at home. I'm just saying. So, to answer the question, is there a war against Black women as it pertains to their weight? I say it's yes. And it is a war that we are going to lose if we are not honest with each other and say, this ain't about nobody else. This is about us. It's about our relationship with food. It's the fact that we don't want to make better choices. It's about the fact that we want everybody to just accept all that excess flesh. And because they make it in bigger sizes, we'll just go get the bigger size, as opposed to saying, now, I got to do better. I got to do better. And we have to be better, because there are comorbidities and issues that come with this excess weight that we don't want to deal with. We don't want to deal with the fact that our mortality rates and our maternal outcomes are adversely affected because we go into the pregnancy way too heavy. The preeclampsia, the what do you call it? The gestational diabetes. All of these things are a result of the fact that we are not making better choices and properly preparing ourselves before we even get to the pregnancy part. And then we're struggling to understand why we can't why is it our wombs are struggling to bring life into the world? Have the conversation that a lot of us enter. We're starting younger and younger with adverse health profiles. And then as a result, it is causing high miscarriage rates. And then it's causing premature birth. If mama's not healthy, what makes you think baby's going to be healthy? I know this is hard to talk about, but I'm talking about it because I love us enough to tell the truth. And I am not going to co-sign with the culture and be on cold with all the other Black women and say, y'all leave us alone. Just let us eat in peace and be fat and be chubby. And this is someone I am dealing with the effects of perimenopause, weight gain. And it's horrible. It is horrible when I have to sit here on camera and be like, oh my gosh, why? Why is my face so swollen? Very self-conscious about it. Because this is not the person that I want to be, and it is not the look that I'm trying to give. So I had to get real. I had to elicit some self-discipline, and I had to say, you know what? I can't eat a whole pint of ice cream at 10 o'clock at night because it made me feel better. I had to redirect that activity into something more productive that was going to yield me results that were not going to hurt or harm me. I had to get my behind on a treadmill. I had to go walking because I started noticing that my sedentary lifestyle was starting to catch up with me. I had to get moving. I'm not saying we need to be a gym rat. I'm not a gym rat. I absolutely hate the gym. But I had to start walking my dog, getting on a treadmill, getting on a bike, just moving around, lifting some weights. I had to do all the things to combat that weight gain because one, I'm not trying to have the man who I'm in a one flesh union with look at me with disgust and disdain, all because I'm too selfish to be like, this is something that you can change, you can do something about, but you the hell with it. Do what you want to do. That is wrong. That is the wrong mindset and attitude to have. And then for those of us who are single, it is wrong for us to have the attitude, well, if he don't want to love all of this, then he don't deserve me. Well, hey, if that's your mantra, don't be surprised when the pool of men gets smaller and smaller and smaller because the vast majority of men don't like all that flesh. They would prefer someone who either don't weigh more than them or who are smaller than them. Now, there's some out there. I know some men who like the bigger the better. I want to, yes, give me all of her. That's fine. To each his own. But what I am saying is that prioritizing this and having this open and honest weight discussion needs to be had because the prevailing narrative out there in the culture is that there's a war on Black women as opposed to saying, wait a minute, what's going on with Black women? Why are we eating so much? Why are we making bad choices? Why is it all of the social activities that bring us joy surround food? We got to go to brunch. We got to have girls' night. We out here drinking and eating ourselves and digging a grave for ourselves with the knife and a fork. And then the moment one of us is like, you know what, I'm going to get a salad and I'm going to get the salmon, you have something negative to say because sis is just trying to maintain because that's important to her. But instead you want to shame her and say, well, I'm going to eat the whole crab, the legs, I want the seafood boil, I want the Alfredo pasta and the baked potato. Like, you just carb loading it. As opposed to us being honest and saying, okay, sis, you're eating to make yourself feel better and you're eating for comfort. And instead of going to talk to somebody about that, you've given up and you was like, well, I'm gonna just be big, to hell with it. And listen, I'm part of the We Do Not Care Club too. I am a card carrying a member of the We Do Not Care Club. However, when it comes to this weight, I cannot relegate the weight. I can't give my allegiance to that part of the club because one, my health matters, and two, I made a commitment to a man that I already knew going in that being fat was not an option. I just know, and my daughters know it too. My daughters have been taught and trained from the time they can remember that it is important to maintain a physically healthy physique and that being overweight is not attractive. And that if you don't prioritize that, it is going to cause problems for you later. Now, their father could have lied to them and said, he should love you just the way that you are, and then lower their chances of being found by a suitable helpmate. Or he could have just told them the truth and like, listen, I ain't about to sit here and let you stuff your face and eat to your heart's content to where we got to sew your mouth shut because you ain't got no self-control. They had to learn that restraint. And so I know this topic is going to rub so many the wrong way. And I get it. You at some point, somebody has to say it. Men are out here saying it and they want to have this discussion. And I can hear you ladies now. well, why does he want to have the conversation about me losing weight when he's no looker either? He walking around here with a gut. That might be true. He might be walking around here with a gut, but we talk about us right now. We don't need to be the ones out here walking around with a gut. You know what I'm saying? Like, all that cortisol is a problem. It is. Let's not worry about what him, the man, is doing. Let us worry about what we are or are not doing to contribute to our adverse health outcomes that impact the way we show up in the world. We used to be the beautiful people, right? The cute, petite, and I get it. There are some factors that are contributing to that. They put they put stuff in the food that make us, we can't turn the receptor off in our brain that says, I'm full, I've had enough. The MSG is excitotoxin. It does that. It makes you want to keep eating and eating. The next thing you know, you're like, I don't ate this whole bag of chips. How did that happen? Well, that's how it happened. So that means if we know that, don't put that chip in your mouth, because you put one chip in your mouth, you ain't gonna be able to stop. He ain't gonna be able to stop. And keep people around you who are gonna hold you accountable. My kids hold me accountable. They're like, ain't you on a fitness or a health journey? You're not supposed to have that, right? And all I can do is be mad at myself when I fall. But if I fall, and you're gonna fall and you're gonna fail, you got to pick yourself back up and get back on the treadmill again and just do what you can. But what we cannot do is make excuses for it. And I know this was hard to hear. And I know some of you are going to unsubscribe because you're like, how dare she tell me that I need to prioritize losing some weight when I'm perfectly happy being big and beautiful. That might be true. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm answering the question. And the question was, is there a war on women, Black women, and their weight? And the truth is absolutely yes. And the last point I want to make, you ain't gonna like hearing this either, but it's the truth. And I know it's the truth because I am married to a former passport bro. A lot of our men are looking internationally for women to pair bond with because these women, they prioritize what their men want. If they know their men like them to not exceed a certain size, those women will go out of their way to make sure that they don't exceed a certain size. You want to know why? Because they want the guy. They want the guy. Now, some of you ain't never wanted nobody that bad enough like that to do that. Well, that's fine. I've never been that chick. I knew I was not equipped to be single and childless in my 40s and 50s. That just wasn't me. I was created to be with someone that I could be shaped and molded for. And therefore, not being chubby has always been a priority to me. Have I done it perfectly? No. I told y'all, some of y'all should have said something last year when you saw me going through the hot flashes and you saw my face all puffed up and swollen and just nobody said nothing. And it wasn't until I started looking at myself on camera and I was like, why is my face so big? I am chubbing out. I said, I got to do something. And I made the decision to do something. And so, yes, there's this war with me in the same 5 pounds. I go up 5 pounds, I go down 5 pounds, and up and down, and up and down. Well, that's fine. But I know I can't exceed a size 8. After a size 8, it's going to be a problem because I don't feel good past that size. I don't know what your size is. Whatever your size is, clock it, chart it, and do something about it. But the war on Black women in their weight, it is impacting a lot of things, particularly our inability to find and maintain and be in good, healthy relationships because we just refuse to see what everybody else is seeing. And it's just our backs are too big. The whole back, like up here, and this one. Proportionately, they like that one, but y'all know what I'm saying. And a lot of these other women, I mean, shout out to my white girls. I love y'all. But a lot of y'all, when y'all see the weight popping up too much, you know what your man wants. And I see y'all out here walking and getting it in because you understand the conditions in which you signed up for. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I think we can learn a lot from that. And so perhaps this is a cultural issue. I don't know. But I know culturally and socially right now, this war on Black women in their weight, I'm hoping we win. But truth be told, some of us are not going to win this weight because we're too stubborn to look in the mirror. And instead of blaming everybody else, instead of blaming racism and the diet don't work for us, and we got all of this stuff in the world and on our shoulders, and we carrying the world and carrying the family. A lot of that is self-inflicted too, but that's another video. All I'm saying is control what you can control. And the way we lifting up that knife and fork, that is something we control because there's no mechanism or battery in our back forcing us to do that. We're going to have to redirect, find another way to manage our misery. And instead of showing out, right, by over consuming carbs and bad food and sugar, let us make better choices, exhibiting a spirit of self-control, i.e., that's one of the fruit of the spirit, and asking God for help. Nobody said it was going to be easy. It's not easy. That self-control is very, very hard. It is very, very hard, but it is necessary and it is also wealthy. So, this video was longer than I expected, but listen, I am curious to know, what do you think? Do you think there is a war on Black women in their weight? Are we winning? Are we losing? Or you're like, nope, there is no war. Y'all just lack self-control. Or you like, sis, this video, I'm mad at you, but there's no lies detected. And I have to just deal within myself that I don't like the words that are coming out of your mouth, but it don't make it any less true. Whichever side of this debate or argument or whatever you want to call it that you land on, leave me a comment down below. I'm curious to know what you think. This is not a personal attack on anyone. We are all growing. I love you very much, but I love you enough to tell you the truth. Some of us are too big. We are too big. It's causing health problems, and we've made every excuse in the world other than the fact that we lack self-control, and some of us are not trying. And for those of us that do have some sort of metabolic or thyroid issue, go get it checked. Work with your doctor. But it's also going to require you to make some different choices. And please don't let that choice be Ozempic. And I ain't going to get into that discussion. But anyway, love you guys. Until next time, stay bold, stay biblical, and above all else, stay unshakable. Grace and